All right. Good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for joining. So, today is February 4th, 2023, and we're going to go through our interest rates, the market, and we're going to go deep into geodata. And so, this way, if you see a property in the market, how we actually see what the banks will be appraising it at. So, geodata is a pretty powerful system that we want you guys to use. And we will talk really in depth for conventional loans. On our last meeting, we went through FHA and the benefits of those. And today we're going to talk about conventional and see what down payments we need, the credit scores, and see how that goes. Okay. So let's get started with the interest rates first. So according to Freddie Mac, this is what we are using this on weekly basis now to track and follow interest rates. So according to Freddie Mac, the interest rates did drop. Last week we saw they were at 6.13 and now they're at 6.09. So this is a good signal that they're trending downwards, which is good for the market, right? More people will qualify more when the interest rates are going lower. So that is according to Freddie Mac. Um, the second we look at is Mortgage News Daily, and they're doing these averages, national averages on daily basis. So for 30-year fixed rate, you're looking at 6.19. Okay, and for FHA, it's a little bit lower. So, but today we're going to be talking about conventional, and this is where we are landing. So again, sixes, the lower, the better for us. Okay. Any questions on interest rates, guys? Any of your clients having any questioning you guys about any interest rates? All right. This is another article exactly what we're talking about here, and they have a screenshot of what we just actually saw, and this is from National Mortgage Professionals. Mortgage rates continue downwards trend. Again, we're seeing this on a weekly basis that is trending down, and this is an article supporting that argument, right? And this article is from yesterday. And this is another one from the mortgage note that the average mortgage rates move closer to 6%. Again, even when a client comes in and they say, "Hey, I'm looking at the news. My interest rates, the interest rates are 6% now. What can you offer?" So they go to different lenders and see what the lender is offering. Some of them will give them a buy down. Will say, "Hey, we'll give you 5.88 if you pay 1% uh, for the loan amount to decrease your the mortgage rate." So that's a possible as well. Or the lender may give them, if they need money at the closing, so they might offer them credit where instead of giving you 6, we'll give you 6.10 or 6.25, but you have to pay upfront. So it's going to cost you a little bit, but but the loan officer will compare both scenarios for the client and see which one makes more sense for them, right? Next article is this is from the basispoint.com, and this is a good chart that I saw. This says um, top four reasons active home shoppers can't find a home they want to buy right now, right? And look at these four reasons here. Can't find a home at a price I can afford. Can't find a home in the neighborhood I want. Can't find a home with the features I want. Or last, which we saw a lot, was that get outbid when I make an offer. So let's look at that, the green one here, that this is from 2018, 19, 20, which we saw that they were getting outbid. And now we saw on the fourth one that it did go down. So there's less outbidding these days because there's less buyers out there. Right? So again, we're going to compare that in geodata as well. When the property is valued at something, 500,000, you really want to do your research before making an offer. Do you need to go higher? Do you need to go lower? And this is where we are professionals, and our clients are relying on us to give them advice. Hey, I'm making an offer, and if you can save your buyers $10,000, $20,000, it will go a long way, and you will build your business just on referrals from those buyers, right? So as you can see that it is going down for our outbidding. Okay. And the biggest thing is, and these buyers are going through all this issue again, is the inventory as well. If there's more inventory out there, we would have less of a problem for this here. Okay. And talking about the inventory, these are just stats from our MLS, and these are from NASA for supply and demand. Again, the supply is very low, -30. So, and the demand is again -4. But we will see this increasing as the interest rates are decreasing. Okay, interest rates goes lower, the demand increases because more people can afford it. But it's just that the seller needs to sell. If there's more properties out there, then the supply will increase, but we're not seeing that right now. Okay, same issue as last week. All right, guys, any questions so far? Anything in your mind? Yeah, sure. Hmm. But you would want to probably follow up. Maybe he didn't qualify or whatnot, but maybe just follow up again on Monday and see what it is. Mm-hmm. So it's just an issue that you don't know if he actually qualifies or not. Did he give you any pre-approval letter beforehand or no? Okay. I mean, so that's normal too. I mean, I don't like push our clients that, hey, we need to see the pre-approval. But then again, if he likes the property, and if it was a client that really likes the property and he wants to make an offer, it would be for the client's responsibility. Hey, I like the property. I want to get this property, so let me push. But if you have been following up and he's not showing any interest, I'm pretty sure that he doesn't want to move forward with that deal. You know especially if it's been that long, But like I said, our job is to show them and make sure that they like the property. And then, when the time comes for the offer, you do that. But if they're not responsive, I would just move on, to be honest. Like, follow up with them, but you don't have to think that he's going to go with that particular property because 4 weeks from miscommunication like that is a long time. Usually you want to get that done like from like showing them the property when the offer time comes in. This is usually done within first 48 hours. If first 48 hours is not happening, usually the listing agent is going to get another offer, or you're just not gonna nothing most of the time. That is maybe just that your buyer is not interested, right? So it doesn't mean that you lose complete connection. So you showed him a property and he liked it, right? Maybe whatever happened with him, I would keep sending him in KV Court new properties that's coming on the market that's similar. So this way he knows that you're not just losing in touch with him completely. So eventually, because I have seen it many, many times where a client is like, this is January or February now, and you guys are feeding him, properties, and they're not showing any interest. 6 months down the line, they will buy a property because whatever their situation changes. But whoever was keeping in touch with them, most likely they were going to go with that agent. So it'd rather be you than anybody else. So why not keep sending them, stay connected with that client. Okay. So- Sure. Sure. Yeah. Yeah, but I think that this is the whole point of this presentation here, right? Especially going with this affordability calculator, so our agents can be educated or at least have an idea. Hey, if person is making, because it's just not the income. Like you can make, let's say $500,000, but if your expenses are $400,000, you're actually just like have 100,000 to actually invest. So it doesn't matter like total amount. It matters like your expenses, your monthly obligation, how much money you're going to put down. So this is why we go with different scenario, and we're planning to do this every week with different scenarios. And this is the information that Brian gave as an example for a client that if they're making $85,000, and we saw that interest rates are around 6%, and they only want to use 25,000. They might have more money in their bank, but they just want to use $25,000. So if they're telling you, hey, I'm making only $25,000, I mean, I want to use 25,000 for down payment. I'm making $85,000, and my monthly obligation is, or they don't even tell you this part, so that they can't afford $1 million property. If someone tells you, hey, I have $225,000, all of a sudden this jumps from 377 to 577. So huge difference. So when they're telling you these information, or if they let's use $125,000 here, but they only want to use $25,000, you see the income increases, the down payment is still the same, but they qualify for a lot more. But now let's say the same person now has a brand new car, and the car is pretty expensive, and it's they already had $500, but the new car payment is $1,500. So now they have total of $2,000 monthly obligation that they have to make these payments. So let's see, it goes from 632 to 398. Huge differences. So their monthly obligations matters a lot. It could be anything that they have to pay on monthly basis with the minimum payment. Like I said, we don't care about the full balance. We just care about what's the monthly minimum payments that they have to make. And everyone got a different scenario. So it's just not the income. And the same person, if it's they're making, they cleared everything, they have no debt, they say, I don't believe, they can purchase up to $700,000, right? So let's put a basic as 500. But now another scenario is your property taxes. It depends on which area. There are some properties out there, beautiful properties in Nassau, where there's huge lot sizes and the built is like maybe 4,000 square feet are built inside, but those taxes are like $18,000 plus. So if the same person is looking in that area, if I click here, now it drops to 489, right? Or if they say I want to be in Queens, back to 700 or $7,000, they can buy 632. So it's a lot of different scenarios that goes into what they can actually afford. That's why you want to advise them that, hey, speak to the loan officer, compare your options. But you as a realtor, we should have some sort of idea. Hey, he's making this much. He has this much down payment. I shouldn't be showing them $1 million property, or I shouldn't be showing them $300,000 property. Any other questions, guys, here on the affordability, or you want to use a different scenario for yourself or one of your clients? All right. Okay, and there's a lot of other these. This is the paid version for our tools that we're using, affordability calculator. But you can use Zillow. There's a bank rate. You can just Google affordability calculator, and just save that as your bookmark, and just play around with those numbers as well. And this affordability number should be very similar. Okay. And set your goals as well, guys. We are already in real estate business. You guys are already showing properties to investors and everything. So maybe not today, but you can have a set goal for maybe a year, 2 years, that I want to start investing myself into real estate, right? I want to buy my first rental property. Or if you're renting right now, you want to purchase your first time, you want to purchase your own property, right? And if you already own a property, you want to have a goal. I want to have my first property, as a rental property, and have an income coming in from there. So there's a lot of tools that we're going to go through our conventional loan, but just set your own goals in life. So this way, you, like I said, you guys already have access to all the inventory that's coming on the market. And if you guys follow KV Core, you can be literally on top of the list before anybody else sees any new properties out there, just by setting alerts for yourself. So just set a goal that, hey, I want to purchase a property, because end of the day, it is still better than renting. Okay, so you can use that for yourself, guys. All right, so we went through these already. Okay, again, LoopNet, guys. You want to be on commercial side. Just from I was working with one of our clients here, and the commercial properties. We put an offer for about, I think it was like close to $6 million for a property, and 6 months later, I mean, his offer didn't get accepted, but someone else bought it from an agency that I know for $8 million, and the commission was over $200,000. So I just want, if one of you guys can be just on commercial side, I'll be more than happy. But if the more the merrier. But I just want you guys to know the access that other clients or the other agents have. You guys have the same access. So get to go, like, start learning about commercial side as well. And the commercial clients, these are the investors that already have money in the bank, right? So they already know what they're doing, and as long as you have access to properties, which you do on LoopNet, and like this property here, this is listed for $4 million. You know, so you never know, if you start learning about commercial side. Hopefully, a few of you guys can be on commercial side and make good living out of that, right? So on LoopNet, I just type in the city or the county that I want to be in, see the properties at, sort by the newest, and these are the latest properties, and just start viewing them, right? Any questions on the commercial side, guys? All right, so now let's go to geodata, right? So let's say you see a property on KV Core, and this is the property here, 1309 Post Avenue in Elmont. Is listed for 589. Is a single family, 4 bedrooms, 3 baths, right? And we have all the details here. So let's say you show them this property at the open house, and your client really likes the property, and they're going to ask you, hey, Mr. Agent, what do you think the offer should be, the amount should be, right? So you just not going to be like, hey, let's just put, they're asking for 589, let's just give them 589, right? Or let's give them $600,000, or give them 550. So the number that you're getting, right, it shouldn't be just like out of the thin air. We should be actually going to geodata, right? We're using geodata. How do we access geodata? It's already saved on your bookmarks, right? Or you can go to ljagent.com, and the link is there too. So once you're logged in, and this is a shared account, if you are signed in, I just want to show you guys here. Let's see if we get that message. Well, nobody was signed in. If you get a warning here, you can just click on sign in, and it will take you to geodata. So once you're logged in here, the state should already be selected as New York, but the county's not, right? So if you already know which county the property's at, you can select that county, Queens, Nassau. But if you're not sure, you can just click on all counties. So we know Elmont is in Nassau, so we'll leave it at Nassau here, and we're just going to copy the address, right? So it does search by itself when you're typing it. So this link here shows Elmont. So when you're selecting it, always double check the address one more time, right, before you move forward, so you know that this is the same property that you're looking at. And then on geodata here, you see all the stats. The biggest that we look at are the total taxes. That they're $10,000 here. You look at the lot size, 55 by 80. And you can see the class, the year that was built, all the good stuff, all the stats here. But we're talking about value here. So my habit is, once I check the address, I just scroll all the way down. Right, the last thing that you see here, these are the evaluation models from. There's usually two companies, but this one is just showing from Adam here. Right, so you might see two different scenarios, but on this one, we're seeing it just for one company here. So this is the market value estimate, and it gives you the confidence score, that how confident you think that the Atom company is with these numbers here. If the higher, the better. So this one shows 99% that they're really confident. So you can be confident as well, right? So the range is that if the property needs some work, it might be the lowest end, might be 550. If it's not like right in the middle, maybe around 560, right? If it has the renovation, you want to increase this here. So they're saying don't go above 560. And we're looking at the property. Let's look at the photos here. So it looks like the work has been done. You see new appliances, right? You see the kitchen being done. Look at the new floor, right? So let's say you showed up the property and everything, and you can send a screenshot, right? You can just start to take a screenshot of this and send it to your client. Hey, the bank is saying that it's around 550. 550 is a good value for this, right? But now, if the work has been done, you want to probably move up a little, right? If this wasn't done, I would not go above 550. I would say, hey, it needs work. The bank is saying 550. I'll probably put 540, 530, depending on how much work needs to be done, right? But when you see, but it only shows two photos. So the true judgment should be at the open house or at the private showing, looking at the property and seeing how much additional work it needs and then adjusting the price. I would not go with the listing price. I would go a little bit below that and see what kind of feedback that you get from your um, listing agent. Okay. Sometimes if it's a brand new building, you might not see this at all. But most of the properties, Adam is actually adding to almost all the properties out there. Sometimes you'll see two different scenarios here. And if you do, you can take the averages of both of them. Both of them are good companies. Any questions on this, guys, on Adam, or how do we use geodata? How do we find? Yeah, go ahead, Mohammed. Yeah, my dear. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yep. That'd be a good start. Yep. You're welcome. Yeah. But the whole point of this is like actually showing our clients that, hey, we have tools that the banks are using. This is when the appraisal is going in. The appraisal is actually going to Geodata or Property Shark as well for the stats and all that. So these tools are really helpful, and you can send screenshots to your clients for those. All right. Any other questions, concerns, guys? All right. Mohammed, you had a question? Sorry. You're breaking up completely. Yeah, a little better now. Yep. All I heard is it possible to see violations? On this one, not really, but on Property Shark, yes. Right? The Property Shark again is shared. It's at the office though. If you always me, I'm more than help. I can help you guys on that. So let's say you got this valuation here, and you about to put an offer. Just send me the address. Say, hey, do you see any violations on this property? And I can do the research on Property Shark as well for you guys. Right? But like I said, right now we're just talking about the value, how much the value we think is what we're seeing the property. Anything that's like that comes up when we're under contract, it could be on um, violations, open permits, anything like that, title report will show that. Right? That's the whole purpose of that. Because as realtors, we will not dig so deep into the transaction until we actually order the title report. Our job is to show the property that they like the property. It's listed for 589 in this case, and we're seeing the numbers. And Mahadia just mentioned 575. I think that will be a solid offer you know. But if there's a lien on the property for $200,000, the seller has to clear that up before closing. If there's an open permit, or if whatever the issue might be, a violation, all of that has to be cleared before the closing. But those, when the attorneys are handling that as well, you know. Yeah, I mean, we would do it on. Yeah, I mean, we would do it on Property Shark, and if it shows up on that, that's great. If not, tell them, hey, rest assured, if there's any violation problem or anything like that, big or small, it has to be handled before closing by the attorneys from the title report. Make sense? All right, you're welcome. All right. All right, guys. Again, all of you guys have access to GeoData. If you don't have the login, just send me a message and I'll send you that information. All right. But please use this GeoData for every time you're about to send an offer. You can do it. Even you can do comps, which we have a separate video because we're going to be short on time if we do this. But you can actually create comps and all that from GeoData. But I usually just type in the address, scroll all the way on the bottom, see what my charts are showing there, and sending screenshots from there, right? Again, if it's a brand new building and it was just knocked down, geodata might not be updated, right? And then we have to use our judgment and actually compare brand new buildings or brand new properties from geodata or through RPR for comps, right? But if it's just old building, you will see that all the information on geodata. All right, guys. So if no questions there, we're gonna move to our mortgage side and we're going to go through conventional loans, right? So conventional just means that the loan is not part of a government, right? It's not backed by government, right? So the terms on conventionals are a little bit looser, right? Meaning when there's a FHA loan, the government wants make sure that everything checks off for the property. Even if there's a crack here and there, they want to get that fixed. With conventional, they're a little bit easier going, but then again, all of the things have to check off for conventional as well. They have their own guidelines. When we're talking about conventional loans, there are two categories for conventional. One is conforming and one is non-conforming. So when we're saying conforming loans, those are conventionals, but they have limits. So they have loan limits, how much the loan can be, which we'll go over, and non-conforming is out of limits. They're considered jumbo loans, or we'll go through different scenarios there. But non-conforming is going to be just loans that are not set by the government. The limits are not set by the government, right? So for conf- for conforming, conventional conforming, right? In most states, most counties in the United States, the limit for a single family is set to $726,000. So you can purchase a property up to $726,000. But we live in New York, so all the counties in New York are considered high cost counties, right? And so the loan limits are even higher there. So our loan limits here for single family is close to $1 million. So they can go up to this loan amount and still be considered a conforming loan, that they're staying within their limits. Okay. So we'll go through the down payment. If they're paying less than 20% down payment, they still need to pay mortgage insurance until the equities hit at 20%, then the mortgage insurance will go away. Okay. And then we're saying non-conforming. These are the considered loans that's above one point this limit here. If it goes to 1.1 million, 1.2 million, or even 2 million loan, they would be considered jumbo loan, right? Those are just a bigger loan that they're getting. It could be for a building, for a larger investment. The rules will vary from lender to lender, right? And this is usually offered if it's going to be a $2 million loan. They're just not going to give it to anybody. They have to make sure that the borrower has good credit and they have high down payment. They have a lot of savings in their bank account, which they want to use for their down payment. Okay. But the biggest thing I want you guys to know is that, hey, there's conventional loans. Within conventional loans, there's conforming and non-conforming. Okay. And we mentioned that if you're putting less than 20%, right? 20%, anything lower than that, you have to pay mortgage insurance until you hit that 20% and it will go away. Okay. So for conventional loans, so we need the tax returns, right? Just like how we need it for FHA, we need it for our conventional loans. So conventional loans, if you are on W-2, you have to show employment history for last 2 years and your tax returns for the last 2 years. But let's say you're a recent graduate, right? You just graduated from college and you have a new job letter, right? You have an offer letter and you've been working and you can provide three last pay stubs to your loan officer, you may qualify for a conventional loan. And if you're self-employed, all our realtors are self-employed, right? So if you guys want to ever purchase your property, right, and you've been doing real estate or similar industries here, and you've been employed for self-employed for 5 years, you just need 1 year of tax return, and you need a letter, a CPA letter confirming that, hey, you've been self-employed for last 5 years. Okay. So simple rules: if you're W-2, you need 2 years. If you're 1099 but have been self-employed for the last 5 years, you just need 1 year of tax return. So whenever you guys are ready to purchase, just make sure the most recent tax year returns that you have, that's what you're going to use to show to your loan officer when you want to get qualified. Any questions on tax return, guys? Yeah, go ahead. Sure. For the tax return, the rule will still be the same, but when it comes to down payment, we'll talk about that just a second. Then it will vary, right? There are some limits if you are buying your first time home buyer, or if you're going to be an investment property, different down payments. But for your tax returns, as long as you want a conventional loan and that you've been self-employed, you just need 1 year of tax return and a CPA letter. But if you're yeah, and if you're getting W-2s, you need 2 years of tax returns. Yep. Any other questions on tax returns, guys? All right. So let's talk about the down payment, right? And we always mention this because those are the facts. And I want, hopefully one of you guys learned this today too, that you don't need 20% for conventional loans. The reason we keep hearing that as a myth, right, is because that when we're saying 20%, it also means that 20% is the key word when we're talking about mortgage insurance. When you hit 20%, your mortgage insurance goes away. But doesn't mean that initially when it comes to conventional loans that you need 20%. You don't. Most people say, hey, with FHA, I can get 3.5. Why would I want to go with conventional? With FHA, you have to live there. It has to be your primary residence, as we spoke about last meeting, that you need to live there for at least a year. Not with conventional. You can close on a deal and rent out the property the next day, right? So the lowest you can go with conventional is 3%. So you can go from 3 all the way up to 20, even 25. We'll go in different scenarios here, but just know that lowest. Yep. Mhm. So they can switch. So they buy a property today. After 1 year, they want to buy their second property. They can make that primary if they want and have that as an investment. The first one as an investment, but they can. Mhm. So that's a good point. So this way we don't have, yeah, there's no restriction. There's no time restriction. So you can buy it, you can have a primary and they say, hey, FHA says you need 1 year. Now with conventional. You can buy it, have it, for 3 months and then move on. That's perfectly fine. Right? And for credit score now, right? They're looking for 680 and above. There are programs where they will allow lower than that, but if you want the good terms, good interest rates, like we always tell or guide our clients that, hey, increase your credit score to around 680 to get the best terms, right? And now let's talk about the down payment. Let's say you have only $20,000, but you're gonna get gifts from your relatives, right? And down payments can include gifts for conventional, right? And the process is that, the loan officer would provide a gift letter, which needs to be signed by both parties, and they need the deposit slip and a copy of that check. So let's say I give $10,000 as a gift. I need to show a copy of that check, the deposit slip, and just sign a gift letter, right? So it can include. So it goes a long way. Some programs don't allow that, but with conventional, you can do that. Okay. And we already go ahead. Go ahead. So these are personal checks. Okay. So that's a good. So these are personal checks that they're giving, right? All right. So now let's talk about if you give 20%, that's great. You don't get worry about, any mortgage insurance. But as Madia was mentioning, if you're looking for a two-family investment property, then you would need 25% down payment. And within these 25%, there's no gifts allowed. So the lender is saying that if you're going to purchase an investment property, it has to come out from your account. So if you're putting down $25,000, 25%, we need to make sure that the 25% is in your bank account and has been there for last 2 months. It's also called seasoned. That means that the money was there for 2 months. They don't need to ask for any statements explaining how this got deposited, how did this get deposited, right? But just knowing that we just need the money in there for 2 months. No gifts allowed. Okay. So you can, with conventional, just to review, we can go as low as 3% and go all the way up to 25% if they're buying a property. But that's not the limit. I mean, if someone can afford 30%, to lower their monthly, of course they can do that. There's no ceiling. They can go all the way whatever they want. But typically we see the lowest they would put down on conventional 3%. If to avoid any insurance, they would go 20% if they can afford it, or if there's going to be investment property, go at 25%. Questions, concerns on this, guys? All right. So let's say you don't want to show your income to the bank, right? Or maybe you have not been paying taxes, or just paying less taxes, right? Hey, I have this expense, I have that expense to reduce your taxes, but that can hurt you when you want to actually invest, right? So there's pros and cons. You want to save on taxes, great. When the time comes for the investment, the banks wants to see your tax returns. You have to, if you're saying I'm making $100,000, pay your taxes $100,000. You can't say I'm making $100,000, but then all the expenses I'm only taking them $30,000. So the bank is going to look at that $30,000, right? So banks also have a different programs where they know the situation. They know that, hey, this borrower has the money, but for whatever reason, they have reducing their taxes, putting in expenses and all that, right? The program is called DSCR, right? This is for the investment properties. So for the down payment, let's say they're looking for a single family, they just need 20% down payment. If it's a two, yeah, The first one, there has to be a primary for DSCR. So if they don't want it, I mean, it could be a 3 units, 4 units, if it's a, but they need 25%, right, for that. Okay, but single family up to 20%. And when it comes to gifts, that out of that 20%, 5% has to be their own, and the rest of that can be gifted, right? And for the income, the bank is not checking your tax returns on this situation. So what the bank is actually checking is how much rental income that property is going to make and how much your mortgage payment is. So when you think of this investment program, you're just thinking of how much the property is generating income and how much the mortgage payment is going to be, right? So you're dividing that. So let's use this example here. If a property is getting $2,000 rental income and there's a $2,000 mortgage payment, and if you divide 2,000 divided by 2,000, you're left with one. So that is the percentage for the DSCR. So they will say, the bank will say, this is good. You're getting 2,000, you're paying us 2,000, we're fine with that. But if your rent is less than your mortgage, that's a no-no, right? The bank will not allow it. So the let's say the rent is $1,800, but your payment is $2,200. That $400 difference, so the ratio will be 0.81. So they don't want that. There are programs that will allow less than 1%, but we wholly always recommend that has to be your rental income has to be positive. It has to be more than your mortgage payment. Yeah. Sure. The credit score, Josh, you can review, but DSCR simply means debt service coverage ratio, right? So it's a debt service, how much debt you have compared to your income. So we're taking the rental income, $2,000 rent is coming in, you're dividing it by the mortgage. So this ratio here, 1% here, that's what they're looking at. Anything above that, so let's say your rental is $3,000, but your mortgage payment is only $2,000. So this number is going to be higher. As long as it's higher than one, you qualify. Okay, you're just taking the rental income divided by the mortgage payment. Okay. 680. Anything above 680 is good for that. Okay, you're welcome. What else, guys? Questions, concerns? We need to know this conventional loans. We want to educate our buyers as well when we're, especially when it comes to the offer letter, and you're, putting in, hey, how much are you putting down? Are you putting down 3%? 5%, 10%, just learn the programs that they're using and just educate them. Hey, if you went to one loan officer, go to another one and get another loan estimate. Compare those. You don't need 20% for conventional loan. Know your options, because most buyers out there will just simply say, hey, for conventional loan, I need 20%. You stop them right there. Like, no, you don't. You can put lower than that. Just talk to your loan officer and say, I want to put lower for conventional, and they will tell them the details, right? Yep. Yeah. But the second property, they're talking about the second property they're gonna buy, that'll be considered an investment, right? Because they already own a property. Yeah. So it doesn't matter where. It could be one in California, one in, New York, one, any state. But whatever their primary is, that's gonna be their primary. But the second one, if yeah, the second one they're purchasing will be their second. Yep. Yes. Yeah. So always know, guys, like, every time, unless they go FHA, we always saw that the interest rates offering is a little bit less. For normal conforming conventional loans, those are the best interest rates that you can find and the best terms. But when it comes to no income check, it could be bank statements, profit and loss, any of those programs, we consider them non-QM, right? And all of those non-QM, they're always going to be the interest rates. If we're looking at six right now, just put, if you want to be on, just say on the heavy side or the higher side, just go with 2%. Hey, six today, you're gonna get around 8, but it might be lower, might be higher depending on their situation, their credit score, and all the other factors that we spoke about. But just know that, hey, it's gonna be, the interest rate is gonna be higher for non-QM. And usually with those type of investors, what they like to do is that they will get the mortgage at the higher rate, and then the next year they have good amount of income, they file it, and then they refinance it to the lower and the better terms, and have that set up for next 30 years, and have positive income coming in. Every month they're making on rental income, let's say $500 or $1,000, so they have positive income coming in, and they have equity building every year. And that's how the actual wealth is being built in America, is through properties. And like I said, we have all the tools. Well, you guys have all the tools of the property, you guys have all the tools for the loans. I just want you guys to be on top of it, where you guys can actually invest for yourself, educate your buyers, and so we all can be professionals. Any other questions, concerns, guys? Anything on your mind? Yeah.